Diddy's final hope of avoiding a prison term is fading fast after President Trump declared he will not grant Diddy a pardon for his offenses. On top of that, Diddy's request for release on a $50 million bail has been rejected. This marks the downfall for Diddy. With his sentencing now only a month away, it appears he will spend the remainder of his life in prison. What exactly did Diddy tell Trump that led to the refusal of a pardon? And does Diddy have any other possible way to escape?
Clarifies his comments during an interview with Newsmax on August 1st.
Sean Diddy Combs,
Right.
would you consider pardoning him?
Well, he was essentially, I guess, sort of half innocent.
Yes.
I don't know what they do. He's still in jail or something, but he was celebrating a victory, but he seems, I guess it wasn't as good as a victory. Probably, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great. And seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
He said some not so nice things about you, sir.
And
Yes.
it's hard, like you, we're human beings.
Right.
And we don't like to have things cloud our judgment, right? But when you knew someone and you were fine, and then you run for office and he made some terrible statements. So I don't know. It's more difficult. It makes it more. I'm being honest. It makes it more difficult to do.
But more likely a no for Combs.
I would say so.
Okay.
CNN reported a few weeks back that Diddy's legal team had been in discussions with the Trump administration regarding a possible presidential pardon. Diddy's lawyers had denied this from the very beginning. However, once White House officials confirmed that talks with Trump were indeed taking place, Diddy's lawyer was forced to admit it. Attorney Mark Agnifilo stated that Diddy instructed him to approach Trump and deliver the message, "I need a pardon."
House official declined to comment on, quote, speculation and told us any decision on pardons would come from the president himself. Combs' attorney Mark Agnifilo said he has not talked to the Trump administration about it. You mean to tell me that you really have nothing to do with a possible pardon right now?
Nothing. I have nothing to do with a possible pardon.
What is Sean Combs saying about the possibility of a pardon?
I think he knows I'm not political. We've never discussed it other than I tell him what's in the news about it.
And what's his reaction? Does he laugh? Does he say, let's look into it? What does he say?
Go tell him that I need a pardon. Go tell him I deserve a pardon. That's what he said.
How are you preparing him?
So, I tell him what the guidelines are, and the guidelines are about 2 or 3 years. And I tell him, the judge could go above the guidelines.
Do you have any regrets in how you tried this case?
It's a good question. Not really.
You called the relationship between Combs and Ventura a great modern love story. Ventura says she was raped, physically abused, and became addicted to drugs because of Combs.
I think that's what makes it. We vehemently deny. And I know I respect that she said that. I don't think the jury concluded that happened. In terms of the drugs and the other stuff, I think that's what makes it a modern love story. I think she very much loved him, and I know he very much loved her.
Cassie Ventura's attorney told us that Agnifilo's description of the relationship is a, quote, complete disgrace and affront to survivors of domestic.
In a press interview, Trump admitted that he and Diddy were once friends and that he would consider a pardon. In another recent interview, Trump remarked that Diddy was basically, he guessed, kind of half innocent. He added that Diddy was celebrating a win, though it wasn't really that much of a victory.
Was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, that relationship busted up from what I read. I don't know. He didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden. It's different. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, and I'm sure other people would like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. As we said, our country's doing really well because of what we're doing. so I can't, it's not a popularity contest. So I don't know. I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact.
Final thing I want to say is this. I asked Joe Tacopina, what about Trump's comment? What does it do to the jury? And he thought it was a nightmare for Diddy that Donald Trump said this. And the reason he thinks that is when the jury goes into deliberations, they could end up saying, look, I mean, even if we convict him, because we kind of think he's guilty, we're not sure he's guilty, but if we find him guilty, he's probably going to get pardoned because Trump kind of sent that.
People close to Diddy have long discussed the chance of a presidential pardon. Suge Knight claimed that Diddy worked as an informant for the feds, and they would help him avoid a sentence. One way or another, Diddy was providing the feds with information. Police knew exactly what Puffy was tied to, yet Puffy was never charged. This was the reason Diddy felt free to speak about his crimes. He believed nothing would ever happen.
Do you think he's going to be all right because someone's going to tamper with the jury? Is that what you're trying to say?
He got enough influence, and I'm quite sure, don't seem like the prosecution is that bad against him. Don't seem like I think he got some favors with the government. I think they're going to show him a little leeway. It might not seem like it when it's all said and done, but I don't think he has nothing to worry about. I don't think he's worried because he's going to be federal. And if he get convicted, Trump's going to pardon him. So what's the worry?
You think the president of the United States would pardon Sean Combs for trafficking?
Shit, he pardoned Michael Harris, who eventually killed a Jewish teenager, or had him. So they don't care about that. It's all about, what's in it for the long run and what the bucks say and what the power of the people want.
How does it go on for so long? When we were on the street, we didn't get a day's rest. I mean, the government was all over us. The FBI is all over us. They got investigations on us. They got informants. They got surveillance equipment.
He was not cutting you off, but he was an informant for years.
Was he really?
Yeah. That's why when people was like, oh, he's going to run, he's not. It's the reason why these type of people get caught up. They always been feeling they bigger than the law because they part of the law, And as you know, all these people get tired of their rap.
Things have not been working in Diddy's favor though. Trump has shown that he may forgive, but he never forgets. During Trump's campaign for office, Diddy started a hate movement against him and even created his own political party. Trump recently stated in an interview that Diddy's past words about him will make granting a pardon very difficult.
Too serious of a point. Seeing what's going on, white men like Trump need to be banished. That way of thinking, it's real dangerous. This man literally threatened the lives of us and our families about going to vote.
Stand back and stand by.
Stand back and stand by.
Yeah.
We're in a war. We're not taking this like it's a war. We taking this like, we're in a presidential election. No, we're in a war of love versus hate. The number one priority is to get Trump out of office. The tribe of people that have the responsibility and really should be scared to death of this man is white people.
Explain.
If this man is elected, we're not standing by no more getting killed. We're not scared of anybody standing up and standing by. We're on the verge of a race war.
Perhaps the biggest reason Trump shifted his position on Diddy is 50 Cent. Since the first reports of a possible presidential pardon, 50 Cent has been posting videos of Diddy's hate campaign against Trump to remind him not to forgive. 50 even tweeted, "See, Trump don't like stuff like this. Buddy, you talk far too much."
Trump need to be banished. Trump gets elected, I really do believe in my heart there'll be a race war. That's why this message is not just to black people. You know what I'm saying? This message is to everybody. This man is really trying to turn us against each other and put us in a situation. America messed up.
Trump even called him a good friend on a 2012 episode of his TV show The Apprentice. The problem is, some comments Diddy made about Trump in recent years as Diddy really entered the political realm. There's a video where he's speaking to radio host Charlemagne saying, if Trump gets elected, I really do believe in my heart there'll be a race war. In another video on Revolt, he says white men like Trump need to be banished. And by the way, you know who's not letting anyone forget this? Combs' rival 50 Cent. Took to social media recently, wrote, see, Trump don't like S like this, buddy. You run your mouth too much. And Donald doesn't take well to disrespect and doesn't forget who chooses to go against him. While working tirelessly to make America great again, there is no room for distraction. He would consider pardoning anyone who is being mistreated, not Puff Daddy. And let me tell you, the idea of Trump pardoning Diddy is not getting a
Gan deal foresaw this a year ago. He stated that Trump was never planning to pardon Diddy. Their friendship no longer exists in that way, and Trump doesn't want the backlash that would follow if he pardoned someone like Diddy. Sources close to the former president said Trump felt insulted and chose not to risk himself for a man who deliberately tried to embarrass him in public.
I feel about the people that feel like Trump, he might pardon Diddy. First of all, he got to be charged and be in prison to be pardoned. You got to realize that the feds could take this case for 2, 3, maybe 4 years. And Trump will be out of office. You don't know how long the feds is going to go on with this. You understand what I'm saying? You hear people talking crazy talk. Well, they ain't got nothing because, man, I've seen the dude set behind bars for 2 years before he had his trial with the feds. And by the time a pardon come in, another year will come by. So that's just a whole lot of propaganda. Puff wasn't even f***ing with Trump like that no more. He was going against Donald Trump. Donald Trump is petty as 50 Cent. Do you understand that? You see how petty 50 is? Donald Trump is just as petty as 50, bro. And he gonna look at it and say, yo, why should I help this motherfucker when he talking shit about me? The diddler. I seen them in a meeting together before. Al Sharpton, Wendy Williams, Puff Daddy, and Donald Trump at the Four Seasons Hotel downtown. And I'm sure he was telling them because all this shit is planned, bro. Yo, you know I'm gonna be president one day. I'm gonna need y'all support. But they flipped. You understand what I'm saying? They flipped. Because everybody was dealing with Donald Trump at one time. That was in the music record business and all that stuff like that. So my whole thing about it is, all that shit is propaganda, bullshit. It's just having somebody, they need something to talk about. Donald Trump probably wouldn't put on Puff if he was on fire.
Even if Trump grants Diddy a pardon, he must still spend at least a year or longer in prison. Remember, Diddy has not even been sentenced yet, and a pardon can only occur once he is already behind bars. The whole process could easily last more than a year, and no one knows what might happen to Diddy during that period. Diddy realizes that his street reputation puts him at risk in prison. Many people want revenge on Diddy, and prison is the perfect place for that.
He spoke on giving Puffy a pardon. You heard what he said about it? He still would have, if he pardoned Diddy, far as I know, he would still have to go through the process. I don't think Trump is just going to send the marshals or the Department of Justice, teach them over there to the fucking jail, yo, get Diddy out. And when he had friends that went to jail, remember he had friends that went to jail who worked for him, who did some shit. What did he do? They went through the same process that every person go through in giving a pardon. And that might take a year, that may take 2 years. But he's going to have to go through the process first, because I don't think Trump is going to show him any special favors for him not going through the process. So if Trump said that he may pardon him, he might still have to do a year, 9 months, or even longer than that. And I don't believe he is. I think 50 going to be right there in his ear. And I think 50 is closer than Trump than
making things even worse. Prosecutors are now pushing for a harsher prison term. It is anticipated that the judge will dismiss federal guidelines and hand Diddy a sentence far longer than he expected. Federal guidelines do not restrict the length of Diddy's punishment, leaving it to the judge to decide what is appropriate for the circumstances.
In early July, Combs was convicted on 2 prostitution-related charges, each carrying a maximum sentence of 10 years. He was found not guilty on the more serious racketeering charges.
Today's a great victory.
After the July verdict, prosecutors initially expected Combs would face a prison term of 4 to 5 years, according to CBS News. However, according to a written submission filed Thursday in a Manhattan federal court, as reported by the Associated Press, the expected sentence is now substantially higher. The submission also opposed Combs' request to be released on a $50 million bail ahead of his October 3rd sentencing. The filing also says Combs must remain in custody until sentencing unless he can prove exceptional circumstances, and according to prosecutors, he cannot. This comes after a previous bail request for $1 million was also denied following the verdict. A federal judge ruled there was no evidence to suggest Combs doesn't pose a danger to others or the community. With these latest developments, Combs will remain in jail until his sentencing on October 3rd.
Trial prosecutors put in an opposition to Diddy's bail request, and the prosecutors say they're actually looking for a more lengthy sentencing than what they originally thought. In this opposition, the prosecution is laying out the fact that the judge already denied Diddy's bail for being a violent person, and they hone in even more into Diddy's alleged violence against people. Prosecutors are saying that Diddy has actually been lying when he said that he didn't commit violence between his breakup with Cassie Ventura in 2018 up until 2024 with his incident with Jane. Let's go ahead and jump right into this motion. The government says despite the court's clear ruling that the defendant must be detained pending sentencing following his conviction on 2 felony counts, the defendant moves again for bail. The defendant's detention pending sentencing is mandatory. There is no exceptional circumstances justifying his release. Even if there were, the defendant cannot demonstrate by clear and convincing evidence that he is not a danger to the community. This court properly denied the defendant's request for bail on July 2nd of 2025, and the defendant has failed to present any reason for the court to reconsider its ruling. The court should deny the defendant's motion on this again on that basis alone, but then they get into listing more reasons. The defendant has failed to meet the strict standard for reconsideration. As an initial matter, the defendant's motion is untimely under Rule 49 because the motion was filed 27 days after the court's July 2nd, 2025 bail determination. The defendant fails to meet Rule 49, which is a 14-day deadline. Go on to say that Diddy has failed to show any exceptional reasons why he should be released on bail waiting sentence.
Diddy's lawyers have now filed for bail a 5th time, offering $50 million. In this motion, his attorneys proposed a $50 million bond deal, supported by his Miami mansion. Passport surrender, limited travel, no phone or internet use, and house arrest with private security. Diddy fears what could happen in prison, and he will try to flee the moment he secures bail.
Diddy's legal problem. So Diddy's legal team has just filed a motion for bail. They're offering $50 million. They're, basically arguing that it's unfair that he's behind bars, given the nature of his conviction. His attorneys are asking the judge to approve the $50 million bond package, and they want him to live on house arrest in his Miami mansion while he waits, for his convictions. Now, the judge, has ordered Diddy to remain in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center until October 3rd, when his sentencing is set. So, and remember, the judge also, cited during the case that Diddy's admitted violence towards his former lovers, including Cassie. He said, quote, "It's impossible for the defendant to show he possesses no danger to any person." So he said that. So that's the reason he felt that he needed to stay behind bars. So I'm wondering, if this, if this will still apply.
To the Sean Diddy Combs case, we may learn this week if he will be released on bond while he awaits sentencing. His lawyers filed a request asking the judge to release Combs on $50 million bond. Combs was convicted earlier this month on charges of transportation to engage in prostitution, and he was acquitted of more serious charges of sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. The government is expected to respond by this Thursday. Combs' sentencing is...
Judge Aaron ruled that Diddy is a flight risk, and with his violent history, releasing him on bail isn't reasonable, regardless of the money offered. Cassie's attorney and her friend Deontay Nash both submitted statements to the court urging them to reject Diddy's bail. It's obvious that if Diddy is freed, he will target those who testified against him. Cassie faces serious danger if Diddy secures either bail or a pardon.